Breaking news, we're literally on the verge of going to war with Syria over chemical weapons. In fact, the headline I thought was interesting because chemical weapons being used are a line in the sand. Like, right, this is it. We're going to war. So I'm looking out my window expecting to see B-52s or, basically missiles raining in on important military installations in the U.S. or maybe some political installations in the U.S. because of the chemical weapons that are used against the American people knowingly by our government on the daily basis, whether it's big pharma, whether it's the fluoride in the water that is, again, don't want to break out the tinfoil hat, but those of you that haven't done your research on fluoride and the medicated water supply need to do your research because that's a chemical weapon attack. And many scientists, leading researchers have already done extensive research on how it dumbs down people, reduces IQ in minorities. I mean, the list goes on and on. The health effects, arthritis, cancer rates, you name it. It's why many European countries, Japan, I think even China has outlawed fluoride in the water. By the way, a runoff chemical used in making bombs and missiles that is very expensive to do away with. I mean, very expensive to properly dispose of. So what's a great way to get rid of it? We'll sell it to cities and put it in the water supply to kill people off. Okay, so John Kerry, you want to talk about, women and children dying? We'll talk about, how chronic disease in America has exploded. Cancer rates have exploded in America, much of it stemming from the additives, chemicals that are put in the food supply knowingly by the U.S. government, knowing that this is being done, whether it's pesticides, hormones, additives to plastics, you name it. So please don't come to me like you're some great humanitarian or like the U.S. government, this particular government, and the people that are operating this government, or should I say have hijacked our government, trying to come across as compassionate and caring about women and children. Because the truth is, your long train of abuses is clearly defying your record on this event. But let's now address the Syria narrative as if it was a real thing, like this was really happening, right? Well, were chemical weapons used against innocent women and children? It appears they were by the plentiful videos circulating on social media. The question, I think, is, did the president of Syria use these weapons? And my unequivocal answer is absolutely no, he did not use these weapons, that he was completely set up. And I think anyone with half a brain, knowing the way this government has operated, knowing the collusion with other Western governments in the past, can beyond a shadow of a doubt say that yes, this was the Al-Qaeda West-funded rebels that used. In fact, there's now been evidence that these chemical weapons were purchased by the Saudis and that were found on actual rebels. But I guess none of that even matters anymore, right? Because as the London Guardian said, top UK military officials were saying that the template that they're going to be using against Assad is the same template they used against Gaddafi, which, oh, by the way, was planned months and months and months ago. You see, what's happened in Syria is that there's clearly a destabilization campaign underway. If you look up colonialism, and I'm not an anti-colonialist or any of that, I'm just saying this is part of it. They would always use destabilization campaigns to basically weaken areas and then go in and basically take over the resources, the natural resources, take over basically everything, right? So if you see this destabilization campaign that started, mind you, in Tunisia, but then to a much larger extent in Egypt, started with trained revolutionaries in America. Okay, America brought in Egyptian revolutionaries, had the State Department train them, this is on record, and then had them go over there, funded them and supported them to topple Mubarak. You see, this is a campaign that's sweeping the Middle East and North Africa. Well, with Syria, it's been a little bit different because he has some allies, right? He has the Russians, he has the Chinese, the Iranians, parts of Lebanon, and they give him aid and support. And so he hasn't gone down so quickly. In fact, in the last month, he started to take back major swaths of land in just suburbs of Damascus. And the question leads to, why on earth would he gas his own people while he's clearly, fighting back and starting to win. The same day, UN inspectors are on the ground searching everything. It's just so fabricated and made up. And this country and this government has a total track record of this. In Iraq, they basically served up Colin Powell as a reputable figure to the UN to say that that Saddam Hussein had mobile laboratories with crazy chemical weapons and that a mushroom cloud was going to be show up over any major U.S. city in the next 5 minutes, right? And it turns out that much of that information came from a guy by the name of Curveball. It was an operative codenamed Curveball. He was a German ex-Iraqi. Turns out everything he said was total lies. So here we're supposed to believe who exactly? Where did this research come from? They don't tell us. What is the evidence that he used it? Is it coming from Al-Qaeda-funded rebels? That's who we now believe is Al-Qaeda, the same people that we have to give up all of our rights to at home. We have to get patted down, everything else. But now they're the leading authority on who is using chemical weapons in the Middle East. This is how insane this story line is. This is how crazy and how stupid they think you are and the American people are. Bottom line is this, is that this is an agenda, and it is sweeping again to North Africa and the Middle East. It's all about, I think, natural resources. It has a lot to do with oil. It has a lot to do with the global reset that will eventually be coming. And we're about to enter another war. And the question is, what do the Russians do? What do the rest of these countries do? Because now these wars are getting much closer to their border. In the case of Russia, as I've told you before, they have a really valuable piece of real estate. I don't even think you can put a price tag on, which is their only port on the Mediterranean in Syria. Very, very expensive. Are they just going to give that up and be like, yeah, hey, Obama, go ahead and, and Cameron and all you other dirtbags, go ahead and just take over Syria and, you could basically topple whoever you want whenever you want because you claim it's against UN or international law when Obama's gun running of Gaddafi's arms and stash is total gun running against international law. But hey, we don't want to talk about that. This, my friends, is total insanity. John Kerry, if you care about chemical weapons, perhaps you should start at home with the chemical weapons being used against the American people. Same goes for you, Barack Obama, and all your other ilk in the White House and in your government that have hijacked our republic. This is despicable. And the sad thing is that we have honorable men and women in this military that yet again are going to go on another banker-run, banker-funded New World Order military campaign for absolutely no national security interest of America whatsoever. This isn't about keeping us safe. This is about using the U.S. military to do the New World Order's dirty work. I'm Fabian for Liberty. Hope you enjoyed this video. Check me out on Facebook and subscribe if you enjoy my videos. Thanks for watching. I'm out.